For most people, winning the lottery is a dream come true. But for Jeffery Dampier, his win turned out to be his death sentence. Dampier's story is one of those horror lottery stories that may make you think twice when wishing you were rich. But was his money the only reason Jeffery ended up meeting his untimely death? Or was there more to the story? At the age of 39, Jeffery Dampier was living what he described as a stable life. He worked as a security guard and had a loving girlfriend at the time. But life got even better when he got news from Illinois Lottery saying that he had won a grand prize total of a cool $20 million back in 1996. For Dampier, this was life-changing news. He had grown up in the west side of Chicago, and coming from a family of 10 kids, you can imagine that they didn't have much growing up. Because of this, he felt that the win had finally given him the chance to better his life and that of his loved ones. He married his girlfriend soon after cashing his check, but the two divorced a few years later. It would seem they had rushed into the marriage. Luckily, the divorce was amicable, with the two deciding to split the prize money 50-50 and remain close for the sake of their daughter. It wasn't long before Jeffery started dating again, and that was when he met Crystal Jackson, whom he married in 2001. Little did he know that this was when his life took a turn for the worse. But we don't mean financially. Even after the divorce, Jeffery still had a sizable amount of money to spend. He bought several properties in Florida, including their 4,200 square foot home in Tampa Bay, where they moved with the wife, another property where he relocated his parents, and a townhouse. He was also wise enough to invest his money in a popcorn gourmet business he started with his mom and his brother, along with other sound business ventures. Even then, he was still left with quite a bit of money, which he spent generously on his family. He helped pay to relocate most of his other family members to Florida and would sometimes help with their upkeep. This included Crystal's two sisters, Victoria and Terry Jackson. But it would seem that Jeffery's intentions were not purely out of generosity when it came to Crystal's sisters. As it would turn out, he had been having an affair with one of the sisters, Victoria. The illicit relationship had been going on for some time. It had supposedly started when Jeffery and Crystal were still dating, and Victoria was only 15 years old. The two continued with their affair in Florida, even after Victoria started dating a guy named Nathaniel Jackson. Despite the similar surname, the two were not related in any way. Everything seemed to be okay, even then. Dampier continued to support the two financially, paying for the apartment they stayed in, and giving Victoria lavish gifts. Nathaniel was well aware of the illicit relationship between Victoria and Dampier, and for a while seemed to be okay with it, but that didn't last for too long. Soon enough, Nathaniel supposedly grew jealous of Dampier, the fact that he was the big shot guy, who always gave people money, the ideal guy everyone respected and loved all around town. Nathaniel decided that he wanted to usurp all of Dampier's money, and he would use Victoria to do that. His first attempt was to try and rob Jeffery's popcorn business. On July 4, 2005, he and Victoria entered the store from having drinks with a friend nearby, under the guise that Nathaniel needed to use the bathroom. When Nathaniel went to the back, however, he wasn't looking for a washroom, but the safety box where Jeffery kept his money. He tried using the password he got from Victoria, but was unable to get the safe opened. Angered by his failed first attempt, Nathaniel resulted in extreme measures. According to Victoria's account, on July 26, 2005, not too long after the failed robbery attempt, Nathaniel had her call Jeffery, asking him to come over under the guise of car troubles. Dampier was on his way to dinner with a few family members, but decided to stop by and help. At about 7:30 p.m., he pulled up at their apartment in his 2005 GMC van. As soon as he got out of the car, he was greeted with Nathaniel pointing a shotgun to his head, ordering Victoria to tie his hands up with shoelaces. Nathaniel then pushed Jeffery back into the van, lying face flat, and ordered Victoria to get into the driver's seat. Terry Jackson, who found herself in the unfortunate situation, was also forced to get into the back of the van. The group drove around in the vehicle for a while, with Nathaniel hitting Jeffery repeatedly with the butt of his gun, demanding that he hand over his money. At some point, Jeffery is reported to have given him about $1,500 that he already had on him, but refused to give him any more. After some time, Nathaniel moved to the driver's seat, and Victoria jumped in the back. She tried coaxing Jeffery into agreeing to Nathaniel's demand that it would all be over soon, but he was adamant about not giving them another cent. Angered by this, Nathaniel turned up the car's radio and shouted at Victoria to shoot him, threatened to shoot her instead if she didn't. It was then that Victoria fired the gun at the back of Dampier's head, killing him instantly with a single shot. Horrified, Terry managed to jump out of the moving vehicle and escape with her life. The couple, however, kept driving up to a deserted dead-end street in Seffner, where they ditched the van and the body. The body was soon discovered by the police, and given the amount of evidence found in it, it wasn't difficult to implicate Victoria and Nathaniel. The two culprits were arrested a few days later, after being tracked down and found in Jacksonville, in a home that supposedly belonged to Nathaniel's father. They were charged with first-degree murder, armed carjacking, and armed kidnapping of Jeffery Dampier. Victoria's defense in court was that she was a victim of abuse relationships, both with Dampier and Nathaniel, which pushed her to commit the crime. The court, however, argued that despite knowing that his life would be in danger, Victoria still invited Jeffery over to what ended up being his untimely death. By 2007, both Victoria and Nathaniel were given 3 life sentences, which they serve today. Although happy with the court's verdict, the news surrounding Jeffrey's death came as a shock to the family, especially with the illicit affair he had had with Victoria. Mrs. Dampier commented in an interview once, stating that Jeffrey would have been better off without the money. In her words, she said, "I think it's a curse." Today, Jeffrey's name is still mentioned in articles as one of the horror stories of lottery wins. This only goes to prove that being rich, you can't trust everyone to have your best interests at heart. And eventually, your lies will catch up with you. What's your take? Is Jeffery Dampier's death due to the lottery curse? Or would he still be alive had he not been in an illicit relationship? Let us know in the comments what you think, and thanks for watching.